So I want to invite you to begin in our Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're going to start in one of our more restorative poses. But if you're not quite there yet, or if you feel like you need to do some wiggling or shifting or some spinal movement, you are welcome to. Otherwise, you can grab for your yoga props. Supta Baddha Konasana can be very yin or it can be extremely restorative. Essentially just laying back over a pillow, blocks, a bolster, a folded blanket with the soles of the feet together and support under the thighs is Supta Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to grab my bolster and then a block to prop it up. I'm going to set this up a little bit more restorative. And then a pillow and then a couple of other pillows for the thighs. And like I said, if there's any movement that you feel like you need, you're welcome to do that. But just make sure that you are supporting your spine, you are supporting your thighs. And then when you lay back, you're kind of able to really settle. And so there's this nice flow of energy through the body. So we're helping to balance out the spine from the sitting all day, the hips and the low back. And this is a wonderful pose to tune into kind of the most recent limbs. We've been working through the 8 limbs of yoga to finish out this year. And we're in the last few limbs. And the last 3 limbs are the samyama of yoga, the yoga, kind of the path of enlightenment is one of the translations for it. So we started tuning in last week with Pratyahara, where we started to withdraw the senses from the outer world and move inward. And then the week before, we focused on pranayama, which is starting to draw the breath in. So the first few limbs, the first, second, and third, so the yamas, the niyamas, and asana are all about our relationship kind of with the outside world and with ourselves. And then the next few limbs, we start to turn to the inner world. So as you're settling, again, anything you need to do to settle. And I found, I was going to read this little blurb from Chopra Center. Too often we get caught up in the busyness of our lives and lose sight of our life's purpose. The last 3 limbs of yoga are known as samyama, the pathway to the true light of knowledge. Dharana is the 6th limb of yoga, and the essence means one pointed attention, teaching us how to focus our attention on the present moment. Normally, our minds are like diffused light. Thoughts are spread out in many different directions. For most of us, our plates are full. We lead extremely busy lives. In addition, the methods of working today tend to keep us distracted much of the time. How can you expect to be focused when your work requires you to check emails and text messages, post on social media, go to meetings, finish projects, answer phone calls? Often we're expected to respond immediately to many of these requests. We then wonder why we're not attaining our goals or moving towards our life purpose. Attaining goals requires a laser-pointed focus. That means shooting that beam of light toward one activity only. And this is the essence of meditation in yoga and also the path of enlightenment or samadhi that we're moving towards, is that in yoga, we pick something and we focus on it in an appropriate way for a sustained amount of time. And eventually we come into union with it and we're moving towards that. And so the 8-limb path is this very elegant way of making that happen step by step. First, we have to get our behavior in order. We begin to practice self-care. We tune into our body through asana. We tune into our breath, and then we slowly are ready to do this because it is not natural for most of us to focus on one thing, and especially if that one thing isn't overstimulating, right? Like we can zone out on Facebook or Netflix or something like that. But to really sit with a point of focus like the breath or mantra or a visualization or a deity or whatever that is can be very challenging. And I think it gets even more challenging the way the world changes. And so the path of yoga stays the same, and yet we adjust it. And so with Dharana, we really are choosing the focus. We have withdrawn the senses. So last week we talked about moving sort of the outer senses kind of out of the way, dimming the lights, turning things off, covering the eyes. And then again, when we have the senses drawn in and we tune into the breath, it's organic. We start to be curious about the inner world, and then we add the point of focus. And that is where Dharana is. And the next two limbs kind of happen organically as we repeat this. We bring the body into balance. We turn to the breath. We turn inward. We pick our point of focus. And if we do that enough times for long enough, we enter this state of samyama. We enter this state of deep knowledge or enlightenment. And this idea of light, right? Following that inner light. And so in this pose, the body is supported. We are doing multiple things for the body. And so we're able to kind of turn away the outer world and turn in. So maybe notice as your body starts to relax, if you're able to observe the sounds, any smells or tastes, sensation on your skin. And hopefully the outer sight has been softened and the eyes are closed, are covered. And as the senses turn inward, as the body begins to relax, our attention on the breath also becomes more natural. We observe the breath as it moves through the body, rising and falling, moving through the body, moving from the head and throat down through the chest and shoulders and arms and hands, down the torso and hips, pelvis and thighs, legs and feet, feeling the back of the body, the heels, the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, the spine, the low back, mid back, upper back, backs of the arms and the neck and the skull, the back of the body settling into the earth, the front of the body growing softer, more spacious, the crown and face, throat and chest, belly, the tops of the arms, the legs. And the breath is usually a more common dharana. We focus on the breath. Sometimes we will bring in a pranayama, like we talked about last week, where we start to count the breath or count back the breath, extend the breath. And that's how we first start to bring attention to it. Eventually, the idea is that we don't have to do anything fancy. We can just watch the breath, like we would watch clouds or waves. But it does take practice. And so you might notice as the body softens and settles, that maybe it's easy to just observe the breath without changing it. But if it's not, you can count the breath, counting the breath in and out, beginning to balance the breath. And so tonight really is about just attempting to concentrate. And in restorative yoga, there's a soft dharana. It's a soft focus. It's not like when we're seated in certain traditions of meditation. You know, we're not trying to concentrate super hard, but we want to keep coming back. So shining that inner light of awareness on these points. And imagining a point of light at the forehead, breathing into the forehead. Point of light at the center of the throat, breathing into the throat. Point of light at the center of the chest, breathing into the chest. point of light in the right side of the chest, right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist. Seeing and breathing into points of light in the right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Breathing back into the point of light at the wrist, elbow, shoulder, right side of the chest, center of the chest. Breathing into the points of light as it moves to the left center of the chest, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, points of light at the tips of the left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Breathing back into the points of light in the left wrist, elbow, shoulder, left side of the chest, center of the chest. Point of light in the solar plexus, breathing in and out. Point of light in the low belly, breathing in and out. Point of light at the tailbone, breathing in and out. Point of light in the right hip, right knee, right ankle. Point of light in the tip of the left or the right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe. Breathing into the points of light at the right ankle, knee, hip. Point of light at the tailbone. Point of light in the left hip, knee, ankle. Breathing points of light into the tip of the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe. Breathing back into the left ankle, left knee, left hip. Breathing in and out in the light at the tailbone. Back up into the light at the low belly. The light in the solar plexus. Light at the center of the heart. Center of the throat. Light in the center of the forehead. And a final little light at the crown of the head. And as you feel the breath moving into these little points of light, breathing in and out. Maybe imagine the whole body breathing in and out through the light that's entering the body, shining of that light of awareness into the body, breathing in and out. And you might just observe the breath, breathing in and out. And you can also bring in mantra. Mantra is a wonderful introduction to Dharana. And you can work with any mantra, but you can work with the sound Om. It's the Bija Om is for the crown chakra. It's also a very common sacred sound for meditation. It is the universal vibration. And so as you breathe in and out of the body, breathing in and out of the light of the body, you might breathe in and out and hear the sound Om. And just see how long, without judgment, without force, you can rest here. Breathing in and out the light of awareness into the body. Either just observing the breath, observing the light, or observing the sound Om as you breathe in and out. If you get really distracted, come back to just counting your breath. And I'll give you a few minutes here to practice Dharana. just notice where your awareness is, concentration. It is important that as we explore these higher limbs that we stay connected to the earlier ones, remembering that the very first of the 5 yamas was kindness. And so as we observe ourselves, when we practice concentration, meditation, absorption, the 3 final limbs, that we continue to practice kindness and honesty and appropriateness with our practice, because the practice is different every day, and depending on where we are, what's going on around us, what's happening within us, we may not be able to concentrate for very long. Acceptance, which we talked about in the 2nd limb, santosha, acceptance, contentment. When is it time to act? When is it time to surrender? And we integrate all of this in these higher limbs. And so whatever this first experience of concentrating in this first pose was, just take a deep breath in and exhale it out. Let it go. And you're welcome to stay here longer. We're actually going to just transition into Viparita Karani. So we're going to kind of stay with this restorative energy for now. So any version of legs up the wall, or you might choose to stay where you are. And so sometimes, the pose is a little bit of the Dharana, especially when we're in the more active styles of Hatha Yoga. It might be easier to just really be concentrating on the asanas. Again, in restorative, we use a few minutes to set up the pose, but then the intention, the goal in restorative yoga is that we're able to forget about the body and go into the deeper relaxation, while the body continues to receive the benefits of the practice. And so as you move into your Viparita Karani, you might notice what feels different here, right? All those stages of pratyahara where you withdraw. Can you make the lights a little dimmer? Can you make yourself a little warmer? Is there any way to reduce the stimulation and the space that you're in? As you settle, can you tend to the body so that the body is supported and you can move into the breath? And again, the breath might just be observing the natural breath. The breath might be scanning the body. The breath might be moving through all those points of light, the marma points, the meridian points. You also might continue to work with Om or any mantra that is helpful for you. And you might even consider here, how is your concentration these days? Do you feel like you are able to concentrate? Or does it feel like it's hard to do that, or harder to do it for longer than a moment? As that reading was first saying, it's very easy to be distracted. And I know that I start to get really cranky because I'll be focused on something, I'll be concentrating, and then my phone will ring or someone will want something. And I find myself really irritable about it because I got interrupted. And that's another piece too, is that we start to get into that absorption and then we get brought out of it. And then all of a sudden we're really irritable, which is the opposite of yoga. Yoga is about reducing suffering. And so that idea of being gentle with ourselves whether our inner judgment or the outer distraction, things happen. Children and animals and other humans in our space want things. We have lots of technology around that makes sounds and shakes and shifts. We have bodily sensations that come up that we're like, oh, now this is going on. And the yogic intention is we just kindly, honestly, compassionately, we just try to keep coming back as long as it's appropriate. And so in this pose, in this moment, what is an appropriate concentration? The Oxford Language Dictionary defines concentration as the action or power of focusing one's attention or mental effort. So just noticing where your attention or mental effort is. And again, in restorative, we definitely want a softer concentration point. But are you here in the breath, in the moment? The whole purpose of this is that presence, that light of awareness that is only available right now, in the moment, in the body, in the breath. So just observing how maybe your concentration flowed during this next pose. Back to your breath. Again, those qualities of kindness and honesty, acceptance, wherever the body, the mind is able to focus right now. And take a deep breath in and out. And you are again welcome to remain in any position that you feel like you've kind of got that concentration going. We are going to move into a restorative twist. Most of you are familiar with Bharvajasana over the bolsters. Also, you can use folded up blanket or towel. Take all the time you need, and if there's anything the body needs before or as you get settled. But we bring the bolster, the bed pillow, or the folded up blanket to the front of the mat lengthwise, and then bringing the right thigh forward. You can stack your knees or take your top leg behind, or even put something between the thighs. Inhale as you lengthen. As you exhale, twist up and over the bolster. Maybe the head turns away or towards. And twisting is a nice way to kind of rinse out the spine. This twist is really nice for the upper back, but also helps to release the hips too. And notice here, so again, we're moving from a supported heart opener to an inversion to a twist. Just kind of moving the body through the asanas with the intention again to help us to turn inward, to reduce tension and distraction, move everything in. So feeling into your breath. And can you reduce the stimulation or the outer sensory awareness? What is it like to breathe here? The light of awareness, the sound of Om, the count of the breath. Whatever allows you to focus on what you want. And I think that's one of the big differences with yoga's definition of focus is that, yeah, we can all focus on what we don't want. We can all hyper focus on things that aggravate us or create suffering, right? But really to put that attention on our genuine goals, our genuine longing and heart's desire, right? The sankalpa. Our life's purpose, whatever that is, or at least the being present for our lives. Again, just notice your attention, awareness, focus. And it's actually very nice in restorative yoga if the focus is just kind of hovering in the moment, because we are relaxed ideally. And take a breath in and out. Sometimes relaxation is the focus. We're concentrating on relaxing. And we will move to the other side when you're ready. If there's anything the body needs between sides, you're always welcome to do a little cat-cow or down dog or anything, or you can just shift your body so the left thigh comes forward. We come up and over to side 2. Seeing where the Dharana rests on this side. Noticing your focus. What is it that you are concentrating on right now? And come back to the breath. You can begin to shift the body out, move into something symmetrical. So child's pose is often the more close choice. If child's pose doesn't work for you, you could lie on your back and hug your knees. And it can also be nice to do a seated bound angle. So if you come up from the twist, you could sit up with the soles of the feet together and fold over the legs. Or anything else. Maybe for you, it's movement, cat cow or down dog or any other forward fold, and just check in. And usually, when we can give ourselves these periods of concentration where we're focusing on one thing or at least one theme. So when I became a yoga teacher almost 20 years ago, and I was sort of learning, how you teach a class, how you sequence a class, I was always concerned that I would get distracted or lose focus. And I found that if I had a theme, I could always come back with my concentration. And that still works for me to this day. When I practice, there's usually a theme or an intention. And no matter how distracted I get by anything happening in the room or in my space or in my head, I can always kind of get that thread back. And so while it might not be, one really small focus, it's a focus that brings me back. And that really, to me, is the best practice of Dharana for myself, is like, at least I know what brings me back, brings my awareness back. And brings my awareness back to what it is I actually want to focus on and do and be. And so sometimes we can have that through our day, set an intention of like, okay, I want to concentrate on being kind today. And no matter what we're doing, we come back to what that means for us, whether we breathe in a certain way or there's a certain mantra or color or quality. How do we weave that intention into the day? How do we come back to that focus? When you're ready, we are going to move into final relaxation. So that may look like traditional Shavasana tonight, which is lying on the earth, supporting the head, the knees, letting the hands and feet drop open. Ideally, again, covering the eyes, covering the body. So trying to reduce the sensory distraction as much as we can. And then again, we will follow that pattern. We adjust the body, create the asana. We adjust the space so that the senses can turn inward. The breath can move us inward. And then we sort of choose that point of focus to guide us into the concentrated relaxation that is final relaxation, where we want to stay here, soft and present, that light of awareness shimmering inward. And again, maybe it's just observing the breath moving through the body. I will sort of guide us through another sort of integrated mantra, body awareness, that you can, if you've been working with something that has helped you to concentrate, you can definitely stay with that. Otherwise, taking a deep breath in and out. And again, bringing your attention to the crown of your head. Breathing in and out of the crown. Inhaling Om. Exhaling Om. And then moving the attention to the center of the forehead. Breathing that light of awareness in and out of the forehead. And now hearing the mantra Sham, S-H-A-M. Breathing in and out, Sham. Light of awareness to the center of the throat. Breathing in and out the mantra Ham, H-A-M. Breathing in and out, Ham. Light of awareness shines at the center of the heart. Breathing in and out the mantra Yam, Y-A-M. Breathing in and out, Yam. Light of awareness shines at the solar plexus. And the mantra Ram. Breathing in and out, Ram, R-A-M. Light of awareness at the low belly. Breathing in and out the mantra Vam, V-A-M. Breathing in and out, Vam. And the light of awareness moves to the tailbone. And the mantra Lam, L-A-M. Breathing in and out, Lam. You can continue to breathe up and down these sacred points. These are the chakra points and bijas. This is one of my favorite practices when I'm preparing for meditation. I settle into my pose, I connect my breath, and then I breathe up and down the chakras. Do some breathing, and then I can sort of settle into that more subtle meditation that we will tune into next week. For the remaining minutes of our Dharana yoga practice. Again, you might just breathe up and down the points of light through the body, through the chakras, working with one or any of those mantras. Or maybe you can just now settle into a soft, concentrated relaxation. Honoring yourself for showing up, for tuning in, for committing to yourself to take an hour out of your day, your week, to focus on your body, on your breath, the restorative yoga practice. Let yourself remain here, soft, focus, aware. Gently noticing where your focus is. And when we have been focusing on one point for a while, we do want to return slowly if possible. Deepening the breath, letting our awareness expand into the space. Again, we allow the senses to bring us back, the sounds, sensations, smells, tastes. Hopefully the sight is the last one to return. And then maybe we bring back movement, sound. And just take the time you need to roll to one side or to slowly rock yourself up. And over time, the Yoga Sutras tell us if we practice these limbs, we do experience more peace, more joy, more calm, more purpose. And so just notice how you're feeling without judgment, just being honest and kind as you observe the effect of concentration, one pointed awareness, that soft light that we've turned inward through this past hour. You can draw your hands to your heart or rest them on your body, just honoring yourself for practicing. Om Dharana Namaha. We bow to the sixth limb of yoga. We'll finish with the sound of Om, and you can tone it with me or just listen or hum or even chant your own mantra. Deep breath in. Om. Thank you for practicing today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you.